Granny used to honky tonk every Friday night. Papa liked the whiskey and threw a little dice. Aunt Loretta did it, Uncle Buddy too. Had a ball last call, howling at the moon. We carry the tradition, our family taught us right. Granny used to honky tonk every Friday night.
All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Two Beers with the Band. I'm your host, Chris Schrum, and you just heard a little snippet from what's probably going to be one of my favorite songs this summer. Granny Used to Honky Tonk by Mr. Scott Southworth.
There you go. Hey, Chris, how are you, man?
I am living life right now.
I'll tell you what.
Loving this weather change that we're having.
Well, and it just changed again, right?
Yeah, well, I'm waiting for that to go away.
That's a short-lived thing.
Yeah, so this we had a little cold snap. Well, we're actually having it right now, and it's going to get kind of winterish, but it's supposed to be spring here a couple of days from now.
I mean, there's winter, then there's fake spring, then there's second winter, then there's almost spring.
Yeah.
So
and then it just
we're
jumps
getting there.
Right into summer.
Into summer.
Yeah. So we're fixing to hit that second spring. It's a couple of weeks long, and then it just goes straight to hot.
Then just don't even come visit because it's just too damn hot.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to come spend your money in Nashville when it's just ridiculous outside, be my guest.
I will not join you there.
Yeah, you won't see me down anywhere close to Broadway. All right. Well, if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about yourself and what we're going to be sipping on.
Absolutely. Well, like you said, my name is Scott Southworth. I have lived in Nashville for 21 years, so I consider myself a Nashville-based singer and independent recording artist. I'm with Flaming Tortuga Records, and I travel all over the U.S. and Europe and play music, and it's all stuff that I've written. And that's what I do, and we'll talk a lot more about that and my upcoming live album. Look at that right there, and we'll chat about that. But let's talk about what we're drinking because I brought you something fun. Last year, I found out there was a brewery that had just opened up in Lewisburg, Tennessee, which is where I live, and so I went and checked it out. And this brown, it's called the Baron. I just loved it. So when you reached out and asked me to be part of the podcast, I called him up and said, "Hey man, let's take this guy some of this beer." So it's called the Baron. It is a I took notes here, 6.2% alcohol. Kaiser Crest. This guy is great. He's been homebrewing for years, but then during COVID, he went to Germany and worked in a brewery there and trained with them, and so consequently brings all of the malts and everything from Germany to make his beer using a recipe from Bamberg, Germany, and that's what he does. And his whole philosophy is just to make beer again. He said there's so many flavors now and cookie flavored and raspberry lilac flavored.
Yes,
he's like, the Germans for 500 years have done it with malt, yeast, hops, and water.
Right.
And that's what he does. So this is German recipe using German ingredients. And that's what he does. And so he had the brewery for a year. It was like a little venue and a retail outlet. And he's kind of shuttered that, and he's kind of focusing on just getting into restaurants. So right now he's in 6 different, I think 3 restaurants and a few cigar bars that has this product out there. And he has 5 different, I believe 5 different flavors. This one is just my favorite.
Little side note, do you know if he's entered any of the brewery, not competitions, but festivals that we're going to be having in Nashville?
I don't know.
because if he's really small like that, if he could come out and, just bring a couple of beers and enter the festivals, I mean, they get packed.
Yeah.
Super packed. And there's really small brews and breweries out of Alabama, Kentucky, places like that. And I've drank from breweries. They're like, yeah, we're not in Nashville. You can't find us anywhere. I'm like, then why did you bring
Why
this?
did you? Yeah.
Can I just pay you and take the rest that high? No. Then what am I supposed to do? I really.
That sounds hard, Chris. Are you okay?
Yeah. Well, it just, man, you bring me great beer that I'm only going to have possibly twice a year.
Twice a year. It just seems unfair.
Yeah, it does.
Bring that glass over here and we'll fill you up. See if I can pour yours better than mine.
All right.
All right.
Well, I don't know if I introduced you properly, so I'm going to do it one more time.
Okay.
You are a multi-award winning Nashville-based singer, songwriter, performing artist, and beer guy.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that's pretty, isn't it, though? And it looks heavier than it is. Once you drink it, you're going to be surprised.
Okay.
So we'll let that come down.
From here, it has a real kind of a dark, I'm going to say that's a little bit, just with the lights I have in here, it's a little bit darker than what I thought. But the head on that beer, good night.
Isn't that pretty?
Man, audio, sorry. Sorry, I just,
You need one of those beer girls to be coming around.
Yeah, well, maybe next year.
Yeah, well, cheers. Salute.
Cheers. Oh my God. Tell me what you think. What do you get off this beer?
Well, I got a little chocolatey, just a little bit.
Yes.
But the thing I love about it is it's not, because I do love a good dark beer, but this one doesn't go down as heavy as a lot of dark beers do to me anyway. It's just a great flavor. I can drink this in the summer. Usually dark beers I save for the fall and winter. Mm-hmm. But when I'd go to the brewery in the summer, I'd just get one of these no matter what time of year it was. But I'm not the connoisseur. You tell me what you're getting there.
That is delicious.
Yeah.
It's a lighter body than what I expected. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't drink that high ABV.
Yeah.
And it has a well-rounded flavor that does have a very slight chocolate note, but it disappears very quickly.
Yeah.
Kind of has a little bit of a nuttiness to start, then almost like a little vanilla chocolate, and then it just kind of fades away. There's no real hot bitterness on the back to clean it up, but it doesn't need it.
Right.
Because the flavor, it doesn't really hang around. But after my first little burp there, you get it all back. And it just, man, you should have brought 2 or 3 of those. That is a delicious beer.
Well, I'm excited because let's give a little full disclosure here. You were kind of you weren't sure if you wanted to try it.
Well,
because you weren't sure, you didn't want to maybe hurt someone's feelings or something.
To be honest with you, when it comes to beer, I've called out beers in the past and said, look, I don't like it. There are people that do, obviously, and that's good. But me, I'm not going to drink this again.
Right.
Not saying it's bad beer. I'm saying I'm not going to drink it again. Mm-hmm. Now, that I will do, because that's the truth.
Yeah.
If I had bad beers, not on the show, take that back. Maybe a couple.
Have you?
Yes.
All
And
right.
it was just, I don't know what you're trying to do, but you missed it because this is just not good.
But this,
I'm gonna need some more of that because that's fantastic.
good.
It really is. That is what every brown ale in Nashville should be.
Look at that. Look at that.
So, I mean, ladies and gentlemen, you have got to try this beer.
Kaiser Crest Brewery. Now, they don't have a website, but they're on Facebook. So you can look them up. Kiser. Got that's their logo, which is a German eagle. He had the German name for it, but this has been used on the crests of German and Austria flags and coat of arms for hundreds and hundreds of years. So that's he's all in. And back when the brewery was open, he would bring in brats from Pennsylvania, from a German meat guy in Pennsylvania, and he'd do brats, and it was
On that third sip, the nuttiness, the beer's starting to warm up and open up.
Mhm.
The nuttiness is starting to be a little more forward. And then it fades into that very, very light milk chocolate and then just goes away. I'm done. You know what, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to skip the interview. We're just
just gonna
gonna
drink beer.
Yeah.
And so you're saying Kurt should be submitting this into the...
He really should. If he has 4 or 5 beers and they're that good, I mean that beer is so clean.
He has a red that my wife just loves. So yeah, he has several.
Let's talk off camera
Okay.
about this because that beer is clean. I mean, man. All right.
All right. I mean, I feel like this has been a success. Right, this is going to be the shortest one you've ever done. I've seen some that have gone 2 hours plus, and we've accomplished everything we needed to accomplish.
Yes. Yeah. Well, you know that there are people out there that want to hear a little bit about you.
Oh, okay. Well, we can.
The main reason we're here tonight drinking this fantastic beer. I'm telling you. All right. For those that don't know, what genre of music do you create?
I write classic traditional country music. I call it honky tonk, is kind of where I've set the genre at. And I'm happy to talk about. I think it's important to let your listeners find you by knowing what you are. You know, I think it's very hip to say I'm all over the place, and I kind of create my own stuff. But I think if you're really wanting to be discovered by people around the world, you need to maybe explain it a little better. So what I do is traditional country, honky tonk style, but it's original. It's my lyrics and my melodies. I just put it out in that genre. So that's what I do.
How did you first become interested in music?
I think I always was. My mother sang all the time. My father, who was only in my life for the first few years and then much later in my life, but he was very much into, I have memories of driving around in the Sierra Desert in California with him, listening to Willie Nelson and Merle Haggard and Roger Miller and all of those guys. And when I was 2, 3, 4 years old. So I think that stuck its claws in my cortex really, really early on. And then, like I said, my mom always sang. There was always music in the house. And then as I got older, my uncles all played guitar, so they started teaching me how to play guitar. So it was always there. And once I learned that I couldn't dance and I was never going to be a basketball player, I figured I should learn to play guitar if I ever wanted to kiss a girl, because then, I also was a big comic book nerd, so I had to do something. So guitar was my way into that. But and then I was in rock bands and blues bands. I was doing everything but country, but everything I'd write was country. But I was playing all this other styles of music because I do love everything. But what I write, whether I want to or not, is very traditional country music.
How did your musical journey begin, and what were some of the challenges that you had to face?
How did it begin? Was, I think the first band I was in, a guy called that I'd gone to high school with, and he said, "You sing? You were in choir, right?" And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "I know this band that's looking for a singer." So I went and auditioned, and I joined the band, and we practiced probably 3 times in the garage, just like all kids do. And we were all 19, I think, at the time. And so we were basically getting drunk in a garage and trying to play. And after 3 rehearsals, the band broke up for some reason. And then another guy who was in that band said, "Well, I'm in another band and we need a singer." And that band stuck. So I was with that band for several years, doing really classic rock and roll, Jerry Lee Lewis, Elvis, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Bunch of snot-nosed kids singing Little Richard.
I bet that was fun to listen to.
It was fun to play. Our drummer was the youngest one. By that time, we were 19, 20, he was 17, and every song was 7 times faster than it needed to be because
Right.
he was just a hyper little kid, and man, we would just race through those songs. You think those rock and roll songs were short back then? Half that time, and that's how fast they were when we were playing them.
What were some of the challenges that you had to face other than bands breaking up and drummers that couldn't keep time?
At that age, I don't know that I was self-aware enough to know about challenges. I had long hair and I was in a band, and I thought I had the world on a string. I don't know that I had challenges other than my own hubris and ego. And looking back now, the opportunities that I did not accept or look at because I was so full of myself and just the idea of I was in a band in Eugene, Oregon, and I thought I was hot shit, But
Yeah.
Challenges, I don't know. At the time, I don't know. I took it seriously enough to call it anything a challenge. I was getting free beer and playing for girls in bars, and life was good.
That's all you need, right? Especially at that age.
At that age, yeah.
Well, you have already said what pulled you into country music. How did your sound evolve into what it is now compared to what it was when you first realized country is what you were born to play?
How did it evolve? I think the big evolution for me came not from when it hit to now. It's when I moved to Nashville, the first several years I was here, my focus was songwriter, and I was trying to write what radio wanted, right? So I spent a lot of time trying to write for top 40 country radio, and I wrote a lot of bad songs and just things that I didn't care about, but I was chasing something. But every year I've told this story before, so I don't want to spend too much time on it, but every year I'd spend one demo budget, a lot of demo budget on something I wanted for me, because I was writing these songs that I really liked, that were more like Lefty Frizzell and Old Haggard and old Waylon and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That really pulled at my chest. And so every year I do one song like that and not do anything with it. And then after 11 years, I had enough for a CD. So I said, well, I'll put this out. And that's when things really started popping for me. I'd never thought of being an indie artist. As a matter of fact, it wasn't until I was 50 that I released that album. And literally the day after I put it out, I started getting emails every day from Spain and France and Denmark and England and just Ireland, from all over. And it was like, oh, people actually want to hear this. And there's places in the world that were really hungry to hear original music in that vein. So, after 50, all of a sudden I've been headlining festivals all over Europe, and was just in New Zealand a year and a half ago, and back in France last year. I'm heading back to Europe this year. I can't say anything yet because it's all set up, but they've not made the announcement. So anyways, I'm looking forward to it.
Well, you said you were writing music for Top 40 Radio. Were you signed?
No, and let me rephrase that. I was trying to write.
Okay.
I was unsuccessful, but I was also, the songs were terrible. It wasn't what I was into. I was trying, instead of writing what was in me, I was trying to write something for
someone else,
for a moving target.
Right.
And you got to think, when I moved here in 2004, it was kind of the end of, it was when a lot of the artists were starting to slow down, and bro country was kind of starting to ramp up.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, so that was where I found the challenges of trying really hard to, what is there, 60,000 writers in this town at any given time, Belmont said, and there's less than 200 publishing deals. So you're just trying to get heard and trying to be noticed. And so yeah, when I started just doing my own thing, and then found that there's pockets of the world that are interested in that, why not lean into that? I'm having fun. I'm making money at it. And I've been able to take my family all over Europe in a way that I would have never been able to afford just any other way, So to me, that's I'm so thrilled and happy with what this last 10 years have afforded me.
So you're saying, for those that are writers as well as performers, lean into what makes you happy and what drives you. No matter what a label says, or no matter what Top 40 Radio says, lean into it, and it will pay dividends if you truly try.
I am saying that's what I did. I would never say that everybody should do it just like I did, because I think everybody's situation is different. I have an idea for a book called Go Indie Without Going Broke, and I would insert my ideas for each of the chapters, but then I'd also interview 10 or 20 other indie artists and get how they did it. Because, the one thing I've learned in this town is there's not one way to do things. There's not one path to anything, and success looks different for everybody, but after being here for a while and interviewing people myself and talking to people, it was like, wow, if my only picture of success is to have a number one song on Top 40 Radio, that's a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of a percent of people that ever see that. So I'm not saying don't continue to try. If that was to ever happen with one of my songs, that would be amazing. but that would be icing on the cake. That's not, I've been able to do things I never dreamed of doing with music. And so to me, I've looked at what success is. And for me, success is being able to play my music and to be in other countries and see people play for thousands of people and have them singing my lyrics back to me. And it's like, wow, that's beyond my wildest dreams. So, yeah, I mean, music has a lot of blessings in it. And I think a lot of, I see people that are so focused on that one thing that will make them happy that they miss all of the great stuff that could be around them if they'd let it in.
So with your fan base and with your reach and with your connections in other countries to indie artists, you should be able to crank a book out with ease.
Well, I should, huh? But I'm still writing. I do have a full-time job. I'm playing a lot. I was in 5 states in the last 6 days. So yeah, I have the outline. It's in the works, but I also am a husband and have a family. So, I need to say that can wait. That can wait.
Right. With your passion, with your knowledge, with your abilities, with your connections, when you said write a book your way, that seems like that book would almost write itself and be so popular among the music crowd.
It would sell tens of copies.
Yeah, in Nashville. Well, I would think that if you would do it your way, but you would interview these artists from New Zealand, from Ireland, and just put their story in and kind of tie their story to your story. I think it would the book would write itself and it would sell like gangbusters overseas, I would think. But then again, I'm a hardworking guy in Nashville. So what do I know about New Zealand and Ireland and places like that? Only what I see on the TV, which is probably not true.
Believe everything you see on TV and
read
believe everything you read on the internet.
Yeah.
It's all true, everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
It's all true.
Every bit of it.
As far as writing itself, it's funny because the chapter outline of the book, I woke up at 3 a.m. and had the entire chapter outline. I'd never even thought of writing a book, but I literally sat up and said, oh, there it is. And I ran into my music room and just wrote them all down and then went back to bed. But it was just like boom, 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 boom. And now I'm taking those chapters and that list and giving them to other independent artists and saying, how did you deal with this? And how do you promote your singles and what works for you? Because in this town, as you know, you've been here an awful long time. You've seen a lot. You've seen things, man.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people here that will take a lot of your money,
real quick and smile and
tell you you're the greatest thing ever.
Look at you and smile and tell you they're going to give you the world and sign here.
Yeah. And you end up losing all that money your grandpa left for you. And you got nothing. And then you go home and you're bitter and you go back home and you say Nashville sucks and it's all politics and who you know. And no, there's a lot of great stuff here. There's, you're you're surrounded by the best of the best writers. You're surrounded by the best of the best musicians. There's a lot of great here in Nashville. But there's a lot of people wanting to take advantage. And so that would be the purpose of the book, is how myself and other people have found ways to navigate without just emptying our checkbooks to people who say they're gonna help us.
Right.
So
right. You need to make connections with the artist, not the industry.
Well, and you need to learn to do things yourself, because the world has changed. The days of a manager coming in and saying, I'm going to take care of everything for you, is gone. The labels aren't going to spend that money on you anymore, because that money isn't there. People aren't buying CDs. They're not buying music anymore. So the world has changed. So unfortunately, you got to figure out how to do it yourself. You got to do the legwork. And for me, it meant once things started cooking in Europe, I'm probably jumping all over the place, and I'm sorry, but when things started cooking in Europe, it just meant for me, okay, I'm going to get up an hour earlier every morning, and that hour I'll be sending out emails and sending out gig requests and following up on festivals, and I'll just do that, and then I'll go to work and I'll do my thing. It's just an hour a day. I guarantee you, if you're paying $3,000, $4,000, $7,000 for a PR person or somebody else to be working with you, they're not spending more than an hour a day on you, grinding for you. So just grind for yourself, man. And if, one of the things I did, I'll share this, is, I don't, and I learned this from Billy Yates. I don't know if you've ever heard of Billy Yates.
I've heard the name. I can't put a face.
He wrote, I don't need your rocking chair.
Yeah.
And he's a big deal in Europe. He does huge festivals. I do big festivals. He does huge festivals. But I learned a lot from him, talking to him. And one of the things, that I hate doing is sending out emails and saying, hey, I'd like you to listen to my music. I'd like you to consider booking me. It doesn't feel good. And then I'm talking about what I've done and who I am, and that doesn't feel good. It feels self-aggrandizing, and, it's not what I like to do. So I created another email account on a server. Didn't cost me any more money on my scottsouthworth.com. I have all these different web addresses available to me, and that email address, I won't say their name, but they make those emails and say, hey, I'd like to talk to you about one of our artists. And then I don't sound like it's just me in a basement.
Right.
And then it allows me to get creative and talking to people and stuff. So that's helped me out.
I think that is brilliant. I really do. There are so many artists that I've talked to on and off camera that say exactly the same thing.
Yeah. So I want someone to do it for me. So then they hire somebody and they do a crap job for them. And nothing comes out of it, but they've spent all this money and then they hate it. And so what do? They go find someone else and pay someone else a bunch of money to do it. And they do a crap job for them. And I'm not saying anything bad about the PR world or anything, but I just feel like I know where I want to point and where I want to spend my resources on. And so it just seems better for me to do it myself in a creative way that it doesn't look and sound like I'm doing it myself.
Well, it's absolutely brilliant. And that should be at least one chapter.
It is.
In your upcoming book.
Yeah, down the road. Don't hold your breath, folks, but it'll come eventually.
Was there a moment when you realized you were going to pursue music seriously?
Yeah. I was living in San Diego. I was working. I was in this country band. I'd never been in a country band. I'd always, even though it was what I was writing, I kind of always said, I'm not a country guy. But I found an ad in the San Diego weekly paper that said a country band's looking for a rhythm guitar lead male vocal. And I said, well, that's the one genre I've not done. So I auditioned, they hired me, And before long, they were doing a bunch of my originals, and that's when I found out, holy crap, I've been writing country music for 20 years, and I had no idea. And then we were playing one night, and there was a couple of gals that came into the bar, and they were beautiful, beautiful young women. And one of them came up to me and said, she lives in Nashville. She's a singer. And I said, oh, does she want to get up and sing? And she did, and she was great. And so after the gig, I'm talking to him, and this other girl was her manager, and she just kind of started talking to me and explaining to me how songwriting worked. I had no idea. It didn't dawn on me that people could make money as a songwriter. And of course, this was back in the early 2000s where that was still going on with greater frequency than it is now. People were still buying music.
Right.
And I told my wife about it, and I thought it was interesting. And so anyway, one day I came home from work, and, I was in Southern California, so every day it was 2 hours to work and 2 hours from work. That was just, my daily commute was 4 hours and working. So, I got home and I'm dog tired, and my wife said, how's your day? And I said, it was shitty, like every other day, but that's how it goes, and she goes, quit. Let's go to Nashville, go be a songwriter, just quit. So that's when I decided to take it seriously. Yes, I do remember when that happened. It was right then and there. And so I got a job here in Nashville selling radio, which is like an entry-level, low-paying, Clear Channel, low-paying gig, but it was like just something to get me here. And we moved the family, and my wife had been a stay-at-home mom. She got a gig, she got a job, and that's, and for me, moving the whole family here, I did take it seriously. It was like, okay, I just moved everybody 2,500 miles away from everybody they knew. I gotta work at this.
Yeah.
And so the work came playing all the time and finding my tribe of writers and friends and music mentors and really building that network up for years. And but that's, ever since we moved here, it's been serious to me, but always fun.
Well, it has to be fun.
Well, especially now, because nobody's making money at this. So, man, we have to have fun.
What was it like going into your job that you hated and telling your boss, I quit?
It was fine. There was no animosity. I'm still friends with that guy. I'm still friends with him. We still message each other every now and then. What I remember is, and it didn't happen within a month. It was like, okay, we're doing this, and then we did some planning, and
Right.
we did some time. But it coincided that 3 weeks before we made the move, was my 20-year high school reunion. So I went to my reunion. And that night we're at dinner, and, there was a bunch of round tables, but the round table I was in, we were like, all right, everybody give us a rundown. What are you doing? Blah, blah. So I have an upholstery business. I have 3 kids, and everybody's going around, and it comes to me, and I said, I just quit my job, and I'm moving to Nashville to be a songwriter. And the table just goes dead quiet. And this guy that's sitting over here, who he and I were never friends in high school, and we'd never communicated since high school, he looked at me and he goes, that's the coolest damn thing I've ever heard in my life. And I will say that my high school class, has been such a support ever since. I mean, anytime I go home, they all come to the shows, and they're just so supportive and lifting and it was just that idea that at that stage, I'm almost 40, and everybody's entrenched in their worlds. I have a construction business. I have a law firm, and everybody's where they are, whether they like it or not. At that age, you're where you are.
Yeah.
And here I'm saying, my wife and 2 kids have signed off on this, and I've quit my job, and we're going to do this. And so, yeah, I remember exactly when it started becoming serious to me.
Can you describe a turning point in your career that took you to the next level?
I think coming here, and at the time, I feel like there was a much greater sense of community with the songwriters than there is now. Music Row still had a bunch of publishers and studios. Do you remember the Nashville Songwriters Festival?
Yes.
That used to happen on Music Row?
Yes.
Where all the publishers would just open their doors that for a couple of nights, and you could go in and play your songs for anybody.
Yeah.
And then in the alleys, there'd be these little garbage can fires, and everybody's sitting around playing songs of all different levels. But I think just being in that community, and going out and listening, that's one thing I tell people when they're wanting to come here is, don't come and think don't come and try to show everybody what you can do first. Just soak it in. And I remember going and listening to Trent Tomlinson, I think was one of the guys playing, and there was a couple others. And me and a buddy of mine we're both songwriters. We just went to go listen. It was 2 other guys, me and 2 other guys. And one of the guys did a song, and one of my friends said, "I'm out." I said, "What do you mean you're out?" And he goes, I'm done. I'll never be that good. I quit. And he did. He stopped trying to write songs. And so I think that there's those 2 mindsets. If you go and immerse yourself here, you're going to hear that there's a lot of people here that are better than you. And that's either going to make you say, okay, I'm going to go back to, being a sales rep of selling ice cream or whatever you do, or I want to be that good. I want to get better. And so the turning point was hearing people that were head and shoulders above me craft-wise. I knew I had good ideas, and I had funny songs, and I knew I could write a verse, chorus, and a bridge, but I wasn't doing that. Hearing Lisa Carver sing Bullets, or Trent Tomlinson's Angel with One Wing in the Fire, or One Wing in the Flame, or something. I mean, you hear these songs, and it's like, they're at a whole nother level. So either I walk away now, or I want to strive to, even if I never get there, I want to continue to get better.
What is the biggest risk you have taken in your career, and what did you learn from it? And if you don't mind, before you answer, would you please pass me a little more of that?
Yeah.
That is delicious.
How are we going to do this? You want me to just throw it to you? Or?
Yeah, just throw it. I'll catch it.
Yeah, man, I saw you eyeballing it.
I'm not going to drink it all, ladies and gentlemen. I'm truly not. He's my guest, so I'm going to leave him.
You're going to leave me a little trickle?
I'm going to leave him a little bit.
Little trickle.
Man, you are going to have to bring me some more of that, or I'm going to have to find a way to get some more of that here.
I'll tell you where the, I'll find out where the cigar stores are around. I think there's a couple of cigar stores in Franklin. The restaurants, the 2 that I know carry his beers are Viking Pizza. There's one in Spring Hill and one in Chapel Hill, and they both carry his beers. And he's really, now that he's shuttered up the retail brewery,
right,
he's really focused now on getting this in more locations. So I'll connect you to him. Maybe you have some ideas of places he should be looking into.
I really do. this is fantastic. And I think if it got in the right circles in Nashville, it would do well. Now, I'm not going to say it would absolutely pay him hundreds of thousands of dollars, but I think it would keep him busy.
Good.
And I mean, if he's cranking out beer, that was an awful pour, and it still has legs, and it's still maintaining a head. It's beautiful beer, man. You're going to have to come back for a second interview.
Not because you want to talk to me. You just want more beer.
Well, I do want to talk to you. Yeah, I'm kind of enjoying the conversation, but
okay, good.
Really enjoying the beer. But
that's all right. I'll take it.
It's delicious, and man, the conversation so far has been awesome.
Good.
I have learned so much, and I love learning about music. And when you have great beer and great conversation, I mean, it's like that's it for me.
There you
That's
go.
what I want.
Salute. Biggest risk. I mean, honestly, I know I keep going back to it, but you know, I had an opportunity in my late teens, early 20s to come here. It's a long story, so long story. Maybe another time I'll tell you that. But had I come here, I would have probably drank myself and offended everybody in town because I was such a pompous ass at the time. And I would have went home. I don't know that it would have been as big of a risk to me to come here at 21 years old, as it was 39 years old with an 11-year-old and a 5-year-old and a wife, you know, and go from making a very good living to having to work a not good job pay-wise. And then I was driving airport shuttles at night till 3 a.m, and then playing any chance I got in between all of that, you know, and still making a fraction of what I was making in California. So to risk that, and I think that's a huge testament to my wife. And we talked to the kids, you know. My daughter was 4. There wasn't a whole lot, you know, she wasn't that upset one way or the other. But my son was 11. He's just entering into middle school. And, you know what talked him into it? He was like, I really don't want to leave. And they had just opened up a Chick-fil-A in Ontario, California. So we drove an hour and a half to go up to Ontario, California, and fed him Chick-fil-A. And I said, you know, they got these everywhere in the South. And he goes, all right, we can move. So thanks, Chick-fil-A.
Nice. Chick-fil-A. Really. I mean.
But then we lost In-N-Out. But now they're here. So now we're full circle and everybody's happy.
Side note.
Yeah.
It seems like a lot of the California restaurants that do well are trying it here in Nashville. If not Nashville, just maybe Middle Tennessee, the outskirts like Mount Juliet, things like that. Tim Hortons opened a spot in Mount Juliet. There's a spot in Dawson. And I think there's one somewhere else.
Now, were those based in California? Because I never saw those in California.
Tim Hortons, I believe, is Canadian.
Yeah, see, I've seen
It's
them.
like it. I could be mistaken. I'm sorry. It seems like it's a Starbucks of Canada. And there's probably Canadians going to say, don't you ever compare Tim Hortons to Starbucks.
Well, no, they would never be that aggressive.
Right.
They'd say, I'm sorry.
Right.
Would you please never do that?
But the first Tim Hortons that opened in Nashville and Dawson, I was like, you picked the weirdest little spot to open this, but they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And that place.
No, they're great. They're
that
great.
place stays packed.
Yeah.
To say the least. How do you define success in your musical career, and have you reached it?
Well, when we moved to Nashville, I got a piece of copy paper, the 8.5 by 11. I don't have one, but this'll do. And I got a Sharpie, and I wrote this on a piece of paper, and I got a thumbtack, and I thumbtacked it to the wall facing my desk. So I looked at it every morning, and it said that IAS, IAS, I'm a songwriter. And my only goal moving to Nashville was to have somebody want to record my songs. That's it. So, a hit song would be amazing, but I just wanted someone to think that what I did was good enough that they'd want to record it and put their voice and their music to it. So initially, that was my idea of success. And I've achieved that. I've had many, many independent cuts and one major label bluegrass cut. And it's been great. I mean, I love hearing somebody else's take on something I wrote. And then as far as the indie artist thing, that took me by surprise. And so I didn't have any preconceived notions, but my folks back home, my friends, my family, God bless them again. I couldn't imagine ever having that much support from a community, but they still will say, "We're going to see you at the CMAs someday." And I said, "No, you probably won't." Well, don't put yourself down. I said, "I'm not, but what I do isn't what they do, But I'm not chasing it, For me, as an independent artist, A, because I wasn't expecting it, but B, when it happened for me I've released several CDs now. They've all done well. I'm I see income from it, and then to be able to go travel around the world and go play Europe or go play in New Zealand or all these different countries I've been to, and come home with more money than I left with. To me, that's success. If I'm not losing money doing something, that's success. And it's not cheap to record albums. So if I'm recouping and I'm, getting to, it's a big deal to me, getting to take my family around the world, taking my son to Norway and my daughter to Spain and my wife to several places and my daughter to Ireland. And just, we've been able to do all this stuff. She came with me to New Zealand, as a matter of fact, my daughter. And we're both Lord of the Rings nerds. So we both got to go do all the Hobbit stuff. And, so yeah, man, I don't know that I've reached all the success that I want, but I will say that my 21 years here, almost 22 years in Nashville, have been enriching and satisfying, and I'm very grateful for everything that's happened here. So I think I heard something years ago that success is getting what you want, and happiness is wanting what you get. And I'm very happy. I've had, music has been a gift and a blessing to me and the family, and it hasn't been easy, but they've stuck with me, and I appreciate that. And so, yeah, man, it's all good. I'm hoping for more success as we keep going, but but I'm having a great time.
Can you talk about a failure in your career and how you bounce back from it?
So many to choose from. A failure. One of the biggest failures was that opportunity I told you when I was in my late teens. A very, very, very well-known, famous songwriter heard a tape that I had made and said I should move to Nashville and they would help me. And I turned him down because I wasn't a country singer. That old guy didn't know what he was talking about. And so my failure was not recognizing the opportunity when it was presented to me. And I didn't realize what a failure it was for years later till the internet was invented and I found out who he was, and he'd already passed. So the opportunity had come and gone. And so the biggest failure musically for me was just being too full of myself to accept information and guidance from people who were much smarter at it than I was. And then when I moved here, I remember one time being at Nashville. Remember Nashville right here on Division? I love that place. And I was just sitting there having breakfast, and there was these guys talking to a label. It sounded like a label or a management company, and they were just 19, 20, just full of piss and vinegar, and just laying down the law of how it was going to be and what they were and how they're going to be the biggest thing. And I was looking at the back of them. I could hear them because they were very loud, but I was looking at the face of if it was a label guy or a manager, and I was like, these kids are blowing their one opportunity here. You could just tell by the guy's face that he was like, I don't want to work with these jackasses. But I was once that jackass. So, so hopefully what I got out of that failure later in life was learning that, I can always learn from anybody around me, and I don't have the answers. So I'm happy to listen and hopefully learn from anybody that I come into contact with.
Well, someone wanting to move to Nashville or just move to Nashville, would that be advice that you would give them?
I would say, like I said earlier, first listen. I don't know who it was that I read this said, and it's a whole different type of thing, but seek first to understand before you want to talk. That's something I fail at all the time, especially as a parent. I always want to just start blurting out advice instead of trying to understand first a little more. But I think when you're coming into town, seek first to understand what's around you. And I think that'll help you navigate things, because I know, one of the first times I came and played, some guy came up to me and told me how, all the things you want to hear when you first come to town. You should join my label. You should be on my label. I'll record you. After hearing me do one song at the Bluebird open mic night, and at first I got all excited, but luckily I'm kind of a natural skeptic. So I started looking into him and saw that he had like 35 artists on his roster, and I'd never heard of a single one of them. And you start looking at them and listening to all of their stuff, and it's terrible. And it's like, wow, I don't want to be aligned with that. Yeah. So advice would be listen, seek first to understand, and maybe not listen to the first people that are blowing smoke up your skirt. Take the time to really vet them and listen to all their artists. Look at if they're saying, I had a guy call me and say, your web page needs work, and I could be doing that, and your YouTube page, you need more more looks on your videos, and I can get you this and I can get you that for only this many thousands of dollars. And I work with, so I looked at his page and I looked at everybody he worked with. And then I went to their YouTube pages, and they might have 100, 200 views on their videos. So it's like, okay, just take the time to do a little homework. Anybody new coming into town, anybody old in this town, do your homework. Don't wait for people to do it for you and say what you want. Don't just go for people because they're telling you what you want to hear.
How would you describe your music to someone who has never heard it before?
Traditional honky tonk stories. Stories. Very few songs are about me. I had one of the guys that I started writing with when I moved here. And again, remember I told you what I was focused on was writing for the row.
Right.
When I started getting some traction as an indie artist, he called me up and he said, I really like what you're doing. He goes, but I don't buy it. I said, why? And he goes, because I know you. You're not out till 2 a.m. You're not catting around on your wife. You're not, I'm asleep on the couch by 9 o'clock. That's who I am. But I don't write about me. I'm writing stories. And so I thought that was a compliment, that I'm not just sitting here writing stories about my little life.
Well, that's a question I normally ask people who are writers. The songs you write, are they about your experiences of others, stories people have told you, stories that fans may have told you? And a lot of writers say it's a combination of everything. It's a combination of what friends have gone through, breakups, love of their life, family issues, whatever, issues they've had on their own and stuff they've witnessed.
Mm-hmm.
And a song just jumps in their head and they write it down and go through it. And sometimes they might shelve it and wait for the perfect album. Or sometimes they may say, you know what, I've got to get it out there because it has to come out. And I think it's interesting that you would admit to, no, this is not me. And a lot of artists, like I say, will say that, but sometimes when I ask that question, they'll look and be like, I don't want to talk about this.
I'll talk about anything, but no. Okay, so I just wrote a song last Friday that a Facebook memory came up. Stick with me here. This is a meandering little road here, but a Facebook memory came up of a show that I played 3-4 years ago. And I said, oh, gosh, that was a fun day. And so I went back on my phone to see if I had any other pictures from that day. And I got to that month, right? So I'm looking through, and I saw a thumbnail of a meme that I had saved, probably just to show my wife, that I thought was funny. And I looked at it again, and it said, I think my guardian angel drinks. And all this, and now I've had that on my phone for 4 years, but I saw that and I said, I think my guardian angel drinks, ba, 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 and he was passed out yesterday, 'cause now I'm locked up in the clink, and I got bail I can't pay. If he had put the bottle down, I might not be stuck in this mess I'm in now. She told me she was 23, had a real good fake ID. I think my guardian angel drinks. Now, of course, I'm not hitting on girls that say they're 23, so it has nothing to do with my life. But I just saw that, and all of a sudden this little story starts clicking in my head. And so that's, you know, that's when I write. I'll see something, or I'll read something, or I'll hear something. And I think the key as a writer, because I this gets really hippy dippy, and I'm sorry, but I believe the songs are floating all around us.
Right.
And I think it's a matter of just having that little antenna up and catching them when they come by. There was a night years ago at a Tin Pan South, probably 15 years ago, the Warren brothers were playing, and one of the Warren brothers ordered a beer, and the bar waitress came and brought him the beer, and she was gorgeous, and she was looked like Rosie the Riveter, kind of had that 50s 40s look about her,
Yeah.
but really, really beautiful woman. And she gave him the beer, and she walked away, and he's like, whew, her mama must have named her Damn. I'm telling you, there was 20 songs that night that started out, because there was a bunch of writers in the room, and everybody kind of went, put that on their phone. And a couple weeks later, I called a buddy of mine who was at that show, and I said, I just finished a song called Your Mama Must Have Named You Damn. And he goes, shit. Me and Jeff just are almost done with that song. We started writing that song. So, I mean, there aren't any, those little things happen, and there's people in the room that'll have their antenna up and will latch on to it. And so that's what we do as writers. I don't know if that answered your question or not. I hope so.
It does.
Okay, good.
It did. How do you define yourself as an indie artist in today's country music landscape?
It's kind of fun for me, because 10 years ago, I'd be going and playing these festivals in Europe, and part of it would be doing these press junkets. I'm getting interviewed by a lot of DJs over there. And one of the first questions all of them wanted to ask was, what do I think of today's country? And they wanted me to bash, all of these bro country acts,
right.
And I said, I love it. I love them. Because if Luke Bryan and Jason Aldean and all of these tall, good-looking young guys were singing what I'm doing, you wouldn't want my old fat ass here. You'd want them. I said, they can keep shaking their butt and rapping all they want, because it's given me this great opportunity. I said this 10 years ago. I don't know if anybody keeps these radio interviews from back then, but I said, but mark my words, in the coming years, there's going to be a rash of young people that are going to be singing traditional country music again. And when that happens, you're going to want them again, and God bless them. You should. That it's going to be their time. And now we have Zach Top, you got Jesse Daniel, you got, there's so many of these young kids that are out there right now doing traditional country music again, and I love it. I love it. And so I think it's going to go. I think the pendulum swinging back to a bit, but I don't think that means that suddenly that's going to put me in the mainstream. It's putting these young people in the mainstream that are doing that style of music, and that's how it should be. So I'm excited for them.
What does it mean to be an indie artist? Do you do everything yourself, or do you have a group of people, or maybe just one or two people that handle other things?
Our label, there's 4 artists on this label. And we're all different. I'm very honky tonk. Carlos Washington just left. I just took him to the airport today. He came here and did some recording. And he's traditionally been kind of a swing guy. He's a champion bull rider, lives in New Mexico, and does Western swing. But he's kind of
Western swing.
Yeah.
I am a huge fan of old school swing music.
Yeah.
Western swing.
Western swing.
I'm gonna have to look that up.
Yeah. And then Daryl Wayne Dasher is he reminds me of Marty Robbins. He has this great, beautiful baritone voice and writes amazing songs. Great live performer. And then Jacqueline Hart just joined us last year and just released her EP 2 weeks ago, her first EP. And she's more Appalachian folk. So, I mean, we have very different, the criteria of the label is roots, real music, and you know, real instruments, real country, real roots. But there's so I think we work hard to help each other out and share resources, you know. So as an indie artist, yeah, there's a team, but we're really working with ourselves a lot and working with each other to share that information and try to build each other up. So that's what it means to me.
Is there a song or an album that changed the way you thought about music?
Not one. I mean, as a kid, the Pat Travers live album from the early 80s, I think, maybe late 70s. That was just a great album to me, just because you hear the audience and the excitement and the energy. And so that was cool. The first time I heard Albert Collins sing "I Ain't Drunk, I'm Just Drinking," and that was a song with so much humor in it, but then just this blistering guitar work. Simon and Garfunkel, so much. I mean, truly, no, there's not one album that changed everything for me. Miles Davis's Kind of Blue album blows me away. Fiona Apple's initial album, I forget, was it Title? I think was the name of that album.
I don't remember
that first album,
but I do remember some of the songs, and it sounded so
raw.
Yeah, and that's what I like about it.
I would sit, if Jen and the kids weren't around, I would literally put that CD on, and I'd just lay on my back and listen to it with all the lights off and just listen to the pain and the damage in that voice and then the quality of those songs. There's so much out there. Merle Haggard stuff, Hank Williams stuff, Old Willie, New Willie. Gosh, he's putting stuff out every 3 weeks, it seems like, and it's all just incredible. So no, but there's not one watershed album that changed my life. It's 50 years of hearing so many different things and being inspired by all of it.
Can you walk us through the creative process of a song from idea to finished product?
It varies from song to song. I told you about that. I think My Guardian Angel Drinks. I wrote that. That was just, like I said, I saw the meme and all of a sudden the melody popped in my head. And once that happened, I was off to the races. I have a song on that Coming Around to Honky Tonk Again CD called Here Comes the Night. There you go. Look at that.
Let's block that face right there. Say that. Yeah.
Called Here Comes the Night. Sporty.
That's Abbott. Side note.
Yeah.
I love the blue on that bus. I'm a car guy.
Yeah.
I'm old school, trucks, buses. It's a whole thing with me, but I love the blue on that bus.
That's Ernest Tubbs' tour bus called the Green Hornet.
Where's that?
That is, okay, you know where Music Valley Drive is?
Yeah.
they have this vintage clothes store there between Ernest Tubbs, but between the two theaters in that strip mall.
Yeah.
There's a vintage store shop, vintage clothing shop, and that bus, the whole bus is in the store. And I walked in there one day and I go, "Hey, can I come take some pictures in here?" And they're like, "Yeah." So, and you go inside and it's his old reel-to-reel recorders are in there, and it's cool as hell. And it's you can walk in there and walk the bus for free. You have to go check that out, man.
Well, I'm going to have to go check that out.
Yeah.
There's so much to do in this town.
Yeah.
Besides drink.
Yeah.
Which I do enjoy, but there's so many little niche spots in this town that aren't promoted. I mean, you just walk up and it's like, whoa, what is this? And,
I mean, the history in that bus is, you can feel it. You can feel it.
that's what I love about this town. That's why I love being here. No matter how many historical places they knock down and build these tall skinnies and these ridiculously overpriced condos.
Bastards.
If you, I agree 100%. If you just listen and just sit with yourself in certain areas, there's music there.
Yeah. I miss Music Row. I mean, that was one of the things that I loved. And I came here right at the tail end. You know, the publishers would have shrimp boils and little hot dog parties and stuff. And you just go walk around, but on Music Row in the alleyway, and everybody, there's always a party on a Friday night somewhere. But getting to write in those buildings, again, sounds hippy dippy, I know, but you weren't there, so hush. You'd go into those rooms and the walls were buzzing. You could just feel, it's like, oh, Dolly wrote here, and so-and-so wrote here, and Steve Earle used to have the keys to this place, and this is where he'd write all night, him and Rodney Crowell and Guy Clark, and you just felt it in the walls. The wood had held on to all those vibrations, and now they're gone. They're all torn down, and it's heartbreaking. And I feel bad for the kids coming here, and I'm so grateful that I got the last 4 or 5 years where that was going on here. I got to at least experience it and see that there were a lot more characters. Remember when there were characters in this world?
Oh yeah.
On Music Row and in those bars, and so I'm glad I got to experience that. I'm sad it's gone. For the next guys coming in, I'm sad they'll never know that, but they'll have their own ways to make memories and everything. But I'm just blessed that I got to be here for some of that.
We used to have people back when I was in college and running around downtown. Broadway really wasn't a thing. It was Second Avenue at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But there were staples on Second Avenue. It could be 12 degrees and snowing on a Friday night, or 112 degrees, and people are literally passing out on a Friday night. But there were staples on the sidewalks in certain areas, and they had their own little portion of the sidewalk, and they would just play all night.
Yeah.
Bars are closed down. People are leaving. They're still playing.
Yeah.
What kind of energy drink are you on? And you're just Energizer Bunny, and you're not missing a beat, and you're just... So, I mean, you would stumble out of the bars.
Yeah.
And you could just stand there, if you could stand.
If you could stand.
And just listen to amazing music. It's like, it doesn't stop.
Yeah.
And I grew up, well, not grew up, but I was able to run around legally and experience that. And it's not here anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank God I grew up when I grew
Exactly.
up, because I was able to experience what made Nashville Music City.
Have you ever seen the movie Heartworn Highways?
No, I have not.
Check that out. It's a documentary made in the 70s. It's just that Townes Van Zandt, Guy Clark, Rodney Crowell, Steve Earle, Charlie Daniels. And it's back when, Charlie Daniels was playing in high school auditoriums.
Yeah.
That's where country music was playing,
Yeah.
But it's a really, really great, gritty documentary about just what Music Row was, and I highly recommend it. Heartworn Highways. You can get it on Amazon and stuff. Check it out.
A buddy of mine growing up literally was Charlie Daniels' neighbor.
Yeah.
That man was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
He, no matter how famous he was, no matter how talented he was a good old boy.
Yep.
And just a great person. And for those that knew him, you would agree. For those that got to experience his shows,
Mm-hmm.
his shows were unbelievable. And I saw him give away so many instruments to people that held signs, to kids that would come up to the stage. He'd crank out a song, finish the song, like, here, take it.
Wow.
Just take it. And just, okay, well, I mean, we could talk about Charlie Daniels.
I got a Charlie Daniels story.
Okay.
Can I tell it to you?
Yeah. Hit me.
Okay. All right. I was working at the radio station, and we were one of the sponsors of a golf tournament. And so I was one of the people that got to go golf in the tournament. I am not a golfer. I'm terrible. But it was one of the, what do you call them? The scrambles?
Scrambles.
So, best ball wins at each swing and stuff. So there was no pressure on me, right? So we're getting up to one of the holes, and this golf cart comes riding up, and it's Phil Fulmer, who was the coach of the UT Vols, and Charlie Daniels. And they go, boys, we're gonna play with you on this hole. I'm like, okay. And my role in a scramble is always to be the first one to hit, because they all know it's going to suck, and it doesn't matter. So I'm standing there, and I'm just like, dear Lord, let me hit it past the girls' tee just this once. Let me hit it past the girls' tee just this once. Charlie Daniels is right there, if you don't mind. And I hit it, and I did hit it past the girls' tee. And then, of course, the guys that are hitting the dingers, they, so we get onto the green, and my balls, we're playing, the best ball, and it's probably 30 feet from the hole, which is to me like 7 miles from the hole.
Yeah.
But again, my job is to hit first so they can see which way the ball goes and how fast it is and all that. So I'm like, all right. And I'm standing there getting ready to putt. And Charlie goes, drain it, son. And I hit it, and it went in. And it was my one moment of golf greatness. I hit this 30-foot putt. And then at the end of the scramble, of course, they always have the little dinner. And so I got my little plate, and I'm looking for a place to sit. And Charlie goes, boy, come on over here. Sit next to me. And so so I got to sit next to him and have dinner with him. And then during dinner, he got up and he sang "How Great Thou Art," just with acoustic guitar. I didn't know he played guitar, and I didn't know he had I've been listening to Charlie Daniels all my life, but hearing him sing "How Great Thou Art," whew, that was a whole different thing. But to this day, I can hear him say, "Drain it, son," and it was just this calming voice, and popped it right in, and what a great day on a golf. My only one great day on a golf course. Every other day, I average playing one game every 7 or 8 years, whether I need to or not. So I'm never going to be good at it. But
you should put that in your upcoming book.
the upcoming book that may or may not ever happen. Drain
You
it,
should
son.
put that in your upcoming book. What does a typical studio session look like for you?
For me, I've been working. That first album I told you about in 2016 that started helping me get traction was actually, like I told you, that was 11 years of me doing one song at a time, right? So I was trying a bunch of different producers. There's probably two songs from several producers on this album. And then I finally found one that I just loved working with. And since then, I've been working with him. And what I love about it is I just clock into one of his sessions that he's already having. And I'm not a studio rat. I love writing them, I love singing them, and I love performing them. But spending hours and hours in a studio is not my favorite thing. And I know this even more because I told you about Jacqueline Hart, who just released an EP. I produced it. She asked me to produce it on her. And I did, and I'm proud of it. It sounds great, and I'm glad I did it. But I'll never produce again because my joy does not come from spending hours on every minutia, every little level and everything. I did it, and I'm glad I did it, but I'll never do it again. So for me, it was important for me to find someone that got exactly what I wanted my sound to be and had the right musicians around me for me to be able to go in, play it for them. We do it, we track it, and then I sit with the tracks for several weeks, if not months. And I just got 2 new tracks. I recorded Wednesday, and I'll sit with those 2 tracks for a month or 2, and just keep singing them in the car until I know exactly how I want to do it, because I'm a cheap bastard and I hate spending money. So then when I go in the studio, I'll do a vocal in 15 minutes because I know exactly how I want it to sound. And then, because I'm a cheap bastard, I'll go in, I'll say, now put a couple more pots up, and I'll do my own harmonies. And because I've had months to really soak in the song.
Yeah.
So I know exactly where I want the harmonies. I sing all the parts. Boom. So it looks like the tracking is usually about a half hour, and then the vocals are, about half hour, 45 minutes, including all the harmonies. So I'm very efficient in that because it's expensive.
You get your money's worth.
It's expensive. And then this new album, Live at the Station, is just me and my 3-piece band playing live at a little sold-out club in East Tennessee. I didn't know the guy was recording. He recorded each microphone and each instrument on separate tracks and sent me a mixed version, and I received it in 2022, and I never listened to it. I was busy doing other things, and I found it this last November and said, holy crap, I got a live album here. It was 2.5 hours of me and the band, and I picked the best 80 minutes of it, and it's coming out on the 10th as a live album. And again, going back to the Pat Travers and Foghat Live, and I loved the live albums as a kid. Johnny Cash Live at San Quentin, hearing all the inmates hooting and hollering. And on this, you hear the people hooting and hollering and clapping and whistling, and you hear my voice cracking, and you hear a guitar twank here and there, but it's live. There was no overdubs. There's no tuning. There's no patches. It was just the four of us. And it probably wouldn't have been that good had we known we were recording a live album. We would have been really tight, you know, and really focused on being perfect. We're loose as hell here, and we're just having a big old time, and it shows. I'm excited about it, especially right now when AI is ubiquitous. It's all everybody's putting out right now is this really glossy, gorgeous, fake shit. So this is real and raw, and you hear us having fun with the audience and having fun with each other, and I'm excited to put this out there just because I know that it's as real as it gets for me and my little group.
I am super excited about listening to that.
Good.
Because I enjoy, excuse me, the kind of 30s, 40s traditional blues type albums where they're recorded on one mic.
Right.
And it is a live show. And it was like if you were listening to the radio, this is how it came across on the radio.
Yeah.
Popping, cracking, squeaking, but you could hear the instruments and you know that they're pure and beautiful and talented.
Yeah.
And you know that the person singing is giving it everything they got. Not to perform for a record, to perform for the people.
That was it.
Which is what music is.
Right.
It's not about recording. It's about sharing your art with the people in front of you.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll send you a video later. I did somebody recorded us actually at this venue, but a few years later, speaking of the blues stuff, recorded me doing a blues song that I'd written, and the band, the guitar player had heard it, but the bass player and the pedal steel player had not heard it. But somebody said, play something bluesy. So I said, all right. And I just started playing this song, and it's so much fun. And the pedal steel player, her solo in it was just lights out, and she'd never heard the song before in her life. So that's the kind of stuff I love. I love trying to throw them for a loop, but they're all much better musicians than I am. So I can't ever stump them, but they're fun.
But you caught the audience off guard.
Yeah. Yeah. We had a great time.
I enjoy that in small venue live music when somebody says, hey, do this. And the band's kind of like,
all right.
And then they just drop on.
Yep.
It's like they already have a song ready that they've worked on, but they haven't released. Or maybe they're not going to release and it's just fun. But they're like, you know what? Let's do it.
Well, this was not even anything that had been worked on. It was just like, all right, let's step back, hold my beer.
Well, that shows the true talent and a true musician and a true writer and a true entertainer.
Yeah.
You can take a request and just say, okay, I got you. Boom, there it is. What's next?
But for me, what allows me to do that is being surrounded by great musicians. If I'm having to direct them, then I'm not able to do any of what you just said, because then I'm too focused on micromanaging. But you get the right bunch of people around you, and you can just cut loose and have a great time.
And that's what it's about.
That's what it's about.
If you're having a great time, the audience is having a great time. It just, you feed off each other, and that's what live music is.
Yeah.
It, as far as what it used to be, anyway. It may or may not be that way now, but that's what it used to be.
If anybody wants to find that, I think it's called, I don't know what it's called on YouTube, but the song is Raining in Memphis, Scott Southworth. And that was just a complete impromptu jam. A lot of fun.
What is the hardest part about creating music?
Knowing when to stop, knowing when to be done. Back when I had a radio show, we did a couple of contests and song contests, and people would send me the same song 8 times. Here's one with a baritone guitar. Here's one with a Wurlitzer. Here's one I rewrote the 3rd verse, and so the second contest we did, we said if you send the same song twice or more than once, you're disqualified, because my inbox was getting flooded with the same song, and I have friends, candidly, that have been recording and re-recording and re-recording the same song for years. And it's like, just write it, record it, and go to the next song. So that was one of the things that I had to learn was, when to stop. This song's done. Go on to the next.
What is the easiest part about creating music?
For me, the easiest part was having a partner in my wife who supported and understood the fact that I could be at dinner. We could all be sitting around having dinner, and all of a sudden it would be like, that's where that song needs to go. It would just, all of a sudden something would click in my head, and she'd go do it. Go. So for me, the easiest part was the freedom to work on it whenever it comes. And I'm blessed to have had that. It's funny because we laugh a lot about, she's not a big fan of acoustic music. She doesn't come to shows very often. When she came with me to France, I had her work the merch table, right? It's a true story. She got to go to France. We took her to Paris, but she got to go to France just because I'm playing at this festival. Her only gig is to work the merch table, right? I'm playing, thousands of people, they're digging what I'm doing. There's a big old line at the merch table. And this guy comes up to her and says, that song right there, which CD is it on? And she goes, I don't know. I don't listen to this shit. That's a quote. So we laugh about it all the time. And people go, well, she should be more supportive. I said, no, she has been the most supportive woman in the world. She moved her whole family here. And then while raising 2 small children who are now grown up and everything, would recognize if I had that look in my eye, it was like, leave Dad alone for a minute. You go do what you got to do. Dinner will keep. And that's been what's easy for me, is having that support around me to allow me to do that.
What is the funnest part about creating music?
Just that. What a magic trick that is, to create something out of thin air, to hear something or to see something or to read something, and suddenly something else comes out of it. I mean, is that a God thing? Is it just pure universe magic? Whatever you want to call it, I don't care. But that's the joy. Just anytime I finish a song and I see it, I still write in a notebook, a lot of times, and then I'll type it out once I'm finished scribbling on everything. But just to see that come out of nothing, and to work with other people and to create something together is even more of a miracle, because everybody's so different. But to get a few people in a room, or I say a few, I don't think I ever write with more than one person successfully, but to get someone else in a room that's had a whole different upbringing and a whole different life and life experiences and come up with something together is that's a miracle.
How did your upbringing influence your music?
I think hearing my first musical memory, my Uncle Rudy came back from the Army. He was stationed in Germany, and he came back, and his sister, my mom, had held on to his guitar, and when he came back, he came to visit my mom and got his guitar, and he sat down and he played. I was like 2 years old, and he played "Leaving on a Jet Plane," and that's my first musical memory. Remember that song?
Yeah.
I'm leaving on a jet plane.
On an acoustic?
On an acoustic. Yeah, it was a John Denver song. I think John Denver wrote it, and then Peter, Paul, and Mary did it. You're empty. I still got, there's some more in here.
Do you mind?
No, come on.
Okay. Yeah, I'll go ahead.
Let's finish this up.
Not to interrupt where you...
No, that's okay. But that's my upbringing. And then my Uncle Dave would come to the house and he'd play guitar. And I just remember just hearing the guitar and the voice, and yeah, that's it. No, finish. I got a long drive. Yeah, man.
All right.
I'm taking the growler home so I can fill it up at Viking Pizza.
Good gosh. I wish I would have brought my army of growlers. And I would have given you cash. So please, by all means, have him make more.
He's going to be tickled to hear that. Kaiser Crest Brewery. There you go. Check them out on Facebook. And while you're at it, go to Scott Southworth Music on Facebook, on Instagram. Say howdy, Scott. And this album, I don't know when this is going to air, but this album came out on April 10th. So check it out.
How many unfinished songs do you have?
Tons. I mean, I have, my process is so different from song to song, but here we go. Just on my phone, I have all these little starts and finishes and ideas that haven't come to fruition yet. There's a lot of them there, huh?
Good gosh.
Yeah. And so I drive a lot, and so I'll have these ideas, and I'll just put them in my phone and just hold on to them. There's a song on that last CD there called Middle Finger First that the hook somebody brought to me 16, 17 years ago, and I didn't finish writing it till probably 3 years ago. And there's other songs that I'll write in a day. But if it's something good, a good piece of advice I got from Gary Hannon, who wrote Tequila Makes Your Clothes Fall Off. He said, don't waste a great hook on a mediocre song. So if I hear something that I think is a great hook, I'll hold on to it for as long as I have to, and I'll keep trying to write it. But if it's shit, I'll just say, well, that's not ready to come out yet, so be patient. Let the great ones come out when they're ready to come out.
Will we ever be able to hear all your unfinished songs, or is it just kind of?
I doubt it. No, because I'll never write everything, because I get ideas every day. So no. But I've put out like 7 or 8 CDs, and I'll keep putting them out till I don't have a voice anymore.
Are there themes you keep coming back to when you're writing music?
I don't know. I love a good sad song. but I like a good sad song that's you can dance to. That's fast. So I like sad and dark themes that people don't realize. I got a song called "Riding Sparky" tonight. That's up pop, ba-da-pa, pop, ba-da-pa, pop, pop, real fast, and people tapping their feet, and it's about a guy who's about to go to the electric chair. You know, so I love dark and sad themes. What I rarely write is romantic songs. I hardly ever write a love song. Every now and then one will come out, but those are very, very rare.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I think because I've been married for almost 35 years. And I think that I feel like anytime I've tried to write a love song for her, I feel like they come out too schmaltzy and too syrupy. And I'm just not a schmaltzy or syrupy guy. She was talking to somebody the other day and said, you know, about me, saying he's just not a very effusive, you know, overtly romantic person. And it's not that I don't have a depth of feeling for her. It's so I just wrote a song called "Good Enough for You," and I'll never write a love song good enough for you because it's all so cliche and it's all been done, and it doesn't match what I feel. So I just don't. I'll never do it. Maybe that's my song. That's the real sweet one for her. Who knows?
It's how the book is going to start. Right?
Who knows? Well, you're really pressing me on this book, aren't you?
Because I think the book's already written itself. But yeah, I tend to, when artists talk about other interests in art, poems, books, paintings, photography, things like that, I do kind of push those issues just simply because I want to show the world that even though you're a musician, even though you're known for music, writing, playing, performing, you do have other interests in the arts.
Sure.
And most musicians do, but they never lean in on it. People that write poetry, they have stacks and stacks and stacks of notebooks with poems they've written. Well, why don't I know about these poems? Where can I find these poems? Oh, you can't. Why? Because I don't put them out there. Why? Well, I don't feel that they're worth my time and effort. Why? Obviously they were, because you wrote it and you saved the notebook you wrote it in. So why not try it? Why not share your art with your fans? Why not make new fans with your art? So, you know, you mentioned book, and I kind of saw it over here, and I'm like, man, the book's already written itself. So,
well, you brought up notebook, and you remember I told you that's on my wall, IAS.
right.
On all my notebooks, I've written this on the cover of each notebook is that. DTS, Dare to Suck. And that's always been my philosophy in songwriting, is dare to suck. It's okay if you write a crappy song, just write it and then move on to the next one. But get it out of your system, and then it's okay.
Well, you know, that could be song number 12 or 13 on the CD.
Well,
Just kind of the filler, but you never know. It could be the one that...
I don't want filler in my CDs.
Well, you know what I'm saying.
I don't have any filler.
Not just, let's throw it in here just to make it a 12-song disc.
Yeah.
Let's throw it in here because I think it deserves to be here, but I'm not really promoting it as far as... I don't want this one necessarily to go to airplay, but I think it deserves to be here.
Yeah.
And then how many artists in music, just music, no certain genre, have said, you know what, I needed one more song to make it a full album.
Mm-hmm.
Then that turns out to be the biggest song on the album. And the one song that launched their career, and they were like, I really didn't even like that song, but I like it now.
Yeah.
Because consumers just latched onto it and said, I love this. This is what, when I hear you sing it, I just picture you in my head. And then I picture myself. You know,
I don't want anybody picturing me with a song that says "Dare to Suck." Is all I'm saying.
Well, you know, I mean, hey,
I got
you
kids.
know what? For anyone who is going to go out there and be an entrepreneur,
Yes.
or be successful,
Dare to
on
fail.
their own,
Dare to fail.
dare to fail,
That's it.
or dare to suck.
Dare to
Same
suck.
thing.
Dare to fail.
Same
Dare to
thing.
fall on your face, man.
How do you know when a song is finished?
I don't know that I have an answer to that. I know when I'm done with it. I know when I'm just, if I start to where I'm just nitpicking. No, that's not true. Here's how I know. When I play it out, there's a lot of songs that I think are done. Oh, this is a great song. And then I'll go out and I road test them. I go out and I play them. And if I'm playing a song and I start seeing this, see a bunch of people looking at their phones, and I realize I've lost them. This song isn't capturing anybody. It's not, it has nobody's attention. So I when I'm trying out a new song, I'm really looking outward to see if it's getting anything. And if I'm getting this, we call them glow songs, when all of a sudden all you see is a glow from everybody's phone as they're checking their Facebook or their whatever, then that song is either not done or it is done and it sucks. So, but when I go out and play it and I have people's attention, then it's done. Then I'm done with that one and I move on to the next one.
So before you play the song on stage to the audience, is there a certain person or group of people that get to hear the song before the audience?
I'll play them for my wife, and if she doesn't like it, I know I'm on the right track. Because I played her one the other day and she goes, I don't know if I like that. And then about 4 days later, she calls me from work and says, screw you, that song's in my head. I go, okay, good. You know, but so that makes me happy. But there's other songs, like there's one that I just love. And I think it's really funny and tongue in cheek. But when I play it, I'll watch the women in the audience and they'll be crossing their arms and their brows will get furrowed. They don't like the song. So I finally said, so I kept trying to rewrite it. And the simple fact is it pissed women off every time I sang it, no matter what changes I made to it. So I said, okay, I'm just going to let that one go, you know, because that's half the audience. I have no interest in alienating half of my audience. If it's male or female, if it's Republican, Democrat, I don't deal with any of that. I want to entertain everybody. So if it's not hitting, that's okay. I'll write another one.
Who are your heroes in music?
Let's see here. Guy Clark, John Prine, Roger Miller, Willie Nelson. How can he not be a hero? The guy's still out there creating. That's incredible to me.
He's a monster.
Yeah.
He is a music monster.
Buddy Guy.
Oh,
Still out there playing.
oh, he's got a show coming up.
I know.
Nashville.
I heard you talking about it actually, and so I saw him play once here in Nashville. You remember when on the riverfront they'd have the riverfront concerts?
Yes.
I saw him one night, and it was the funniest damn thing I'd ever seen. You know, the bands go dum, do, 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 do. Great band. Do, 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 do. Ladies and gentlemen, do, 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 do. From Chicago. Do, 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 do. This whole long intro. Do, 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 do. Mr. Buddy Guy. Do, do, and he comes out. Everybody's hollering and clapping. Do, 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 do. He walks out. Do, 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 do. And he hits the string. Goes, ba-da-bow, doink. It was so hot and humid. The string broke. Doom, do, doom, do, doom. The guitar tech came up, handed him another guitar. Doom, do, doom, do, doom, do, doom. Ba-da-down, doink. He broke 3 strings on 3 guitars just trying to hit the first note of the first song. And that poor guitar tech was just running, bringing him another guitar, bringing him another guitar. But what a great show. I've seen him several times, and that whole, I do watch your podcast, by the way, and you were talking about him going out into the Ryman, was it the Ryman?
The Ryman.
Where he just walks around. I saw him do that in an outdoor amphitheater in 1992, and walking through the outdoor amphitheater and walking through the audience, and he's just going row to row, slapping high fives and playing, and he's like halfway up, and he just goes boom, and the whole band stops, down, 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 and starts a whole new song, and I was just blown away. I said, that's the most amazing thing I've ever seen. That band was watching everything he did as he walked row to row to row to row, and as soon as he did this, everybody knew exactly what to do. That's incredible. That's an entertainer.
Yes. That's what I love about his shows.
Yeah.
He is a true entertainer. Just because he walks off stage, don't think you're getting a break.
No.
Because he might pop up somewhere. You're just kind of like, okay, all right, let me go get a beer.
Yeah.
Well, you're going to completely
You're going to miss it.
something.
You're going to miss it. No, he's amazing. So I don't know. I don't remember what the question was, but the answer should always be Buddy Guy.
You know what? Good answer. That's your answer to that song. So my next question is, do you think Buddy Guy would enjoy your music?
Well, I have a blues album written, complete blues. And I think he would love some of that. I think he would like my country show, though, too, because we have such a good time together on stage, and the audience has fun with us. And it's never the same show. So I would hope he would. I would hope he would. Buddy, come to a show and answer Chris's question. Let him know. When you come and do 2 beers with the band with Chris Shrum, you can then tell him what you thought of Scott's show. There you go. I put that out in the universe.
If I could sit down and drink beer with Buddy Guy,
You'd have to drink cognac.
I'm whatever. I don't care. It would be till his people are like, look, stop.
Yeah. I mean, and the history, him with Junior Wells and those albums were just amazing, you know, and he wasn't even at the level, you know, he hadn't even hit his apex as a guitarist yet, but still the stuff they were doing was so great. And I love all of his stuff, but the song he did with B.B. King, I think I'll Stay a Little Longer, just one of the most emotional things I've ever seen or heard. Good stuff.
If I could interview Buddy Guy, I'm pretty sure that's it.
Yeah.
'Cause that would be the top of the mountain.
Mm-hmm.
Always ask artists, what is the top of the mountain for you? If I could interview Buddy Guy, that's the top of the mountain, because it's just not going to get any better.
Yeah.
You know what? This all these questions I work on out the window.
Yeah.
Because he's just, you don't find people like him anymore.
Mm-mm.
That are just pure entertainers.
Yeah.
And he's so good at his craft.
Yeah.
That he really doesn't have to try. It just flows. And the man is what, 90 something?
Something like that. Yeah.
And still going out there and doing it like he's 40.
Yeah.
Entertainers, take note. I mean, dang.
You know who you should interview? Have you ever met Tom Hambridge?
I've heard the name, but I can't put a face with it.
He's written and produced a bunch with Buddy and recorded a bunch with Buddy, and he lives here in Nashville. You should interview him, and that would be your 1 degree from Buddy.
I mean, do you think he'd come on my little show?
I don't know why not. You got a great show here. Look at this. Look at this set, you guys. We got signatures, we got stickers and posters and fancy lights. This is nice. Don't call it a little show. This is nice.
Well, I work hard to do what I do, but you know, it's not the stuff on YouTube that gets 10 billion views, stuff like that. And honestly, I don't care. As long as the artist has fun, I have fun, I learn something.
And there answers your question about what I feel about an indie artist. I'm never going to get Taylor Swift numbers, you know, and that's okay. I get my listeners just like you get your listeners, one at a time. Somebody's going to get on this and say, well, that was fun. I want to watch another one. And we get them one at a time. And that's how I get my listeners, one at a time. And I'm grateful for every single one of them. And I don't worry about comparing myself to Luke Bryan, just like you don't worry about comparing yourself to Joe Rogan. You just man, we're here talking about what we're talking about. We're having a couple of good beers from Kaiser Crest and
Great beer.
Great beer.
Great beer.
Oh, you
you
rate these things, don't you? How would you rate this?
Well, you know what? Honestly, it doesn't seem like a lot of my audience cares about the beer portion, but for the few that do, you really get this. I'm telling you, get this. Delightful beer. Even now, it's been sitting open now for 2 hours.
2.5 hours.
Minutes.
Yeah.
It is still delightful. In fact, it's even better. And look at that color, the mahogany. It's like a light maple syrup. It's beautiful. It really is. I mean, for your second, third, and fourth interview that you're already committed
I'm committed to. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, as well as a book and a blues album.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have to bring 2 or 3 growlers of at least this.
All right. All right.
Which one of your many songs encompasses your true sound?
My true sound, I think they all do in one shape or another. I think my true heart, I have a song on my These Old Bones CD, which I think is that one. Is the last song on there All I've Done?
Yes.
Yeah. That song is that's a good representation of me. Yeah. All I've Done.
I don't know. I think I like the picture on the back better than. Yeah, I like the picture on the back.
You like the back better than the front?
Yeah, because it's just kind of a, hey, I'm throwing it out there. I'm having a good time. You're going to have a good time. And I like the color. The roses kind of pop a little bit.
Yeah. So all of my jackets and shirts, I do. There's a guy here named Ray Stevenson, who's a hit songwriter, and he's also an artist. You say you like people that do a bunch of different types of art.
Yeah.
He's a wonderful painter, and one day he said, "I wonder if I could paint some stuff on clothing." And so he is set up. He's hooked me up with some great stage clothes. I just take him jackets, and he goes to town on them. So you see that one, I got a different jacket on, and yeah, he's just, and what I'll do is I'll take him the CD when I'm finished, and I said, now paint what you want.
So you take him a CD and a jacket
Yeah.
and say, I'm going to leave this with you. I'm going to come back.
Yep.
You do it.
Yep.
And when you come back, you just take it and go
Yep.
with it. That's trust.
Well, it's art. I mean, I think
It is.
I think music is messy. Music should be messy. Art should be accepted,
Expressive.
The best advice I ever got in this town came from I did a radio show for 10 years. I interviewed people in the industry for 10 years. The best piece of advice I ever got was from my very first guest on the very first night of the radio show. And his advice was, don't be precious. And I said, what does that mean? He said, just don't be precious. And that, once I kind of got my arms around that was a brilliant little piece, just let art be what it is. And as a songwriter, I've heard stories of people that have derailed their career because it's like, that's not how that should go. You ruin the song. And no, you don't tell an artist that. Let them take your song and do what they want with it. And you never know. It might end up being 100 times better. One of my very dear friends in the industry, he doesn't live in Nashville, but he's one of my songwriting heroes. He wrote a song based on a Merle Haggard Christmas recitation. And the recitation angered him, so he wrote a song to counter it. And he meant it to sound like a Merle Haggard song, and he wanted it recorded to sound like a Merle Haggard song. Well, somebody heard the song and asked if they could record it, and they did, and they recorded it, and it sounded like the goofiest, stupidest song you've ever heard. And he was so angry. He goes, they didn't do this right. They've ruined my song. Well, that song was Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer.
Yeah,
And that song put his kids through college, paid for their weddings. It supported him for the last 50 years. That song came out in the 70s. It became a TV cartoon. And after the first royalty check, he goes, oh, that's exactly how that song was supposed to go. So don't be precious. Don't ruin it, because I've seen people take songs back and say, I don't want you to have the song because you did it wrong. And same with art. If what you heard in that CD made you paint that, okay, that's what we got.
What is it like being that independent artist in Nashville?
For me, it's fun because for the most part, nobody knows who I am or cares who I am. One of my favorite moments came from, I had just played a festival in Norway. That was amazing, just an amazing experience. And just so much love for the music. And I just, I came home feeling like a rock star. And the next week I played an art festival in Spring Hill. And I was supposed to play at a coffee house. So I'm walking up with my little amp and my guitar, and they said, oh, no, you're not playing in the coffee house, you're playing outside. I said, okay. So I set up my little mic stand and I'm playing outside to my wife, who was only there because I'd been gone for 2 weeks touring. So she was just excited I was in the same time zone as her. And these two kids on a swing and a woman sitting on a park bench smoking a cigarette saying, "Don't push your sister so hard." So to go from this amazing thing to come back to town to nobody paying attention, that's the fun of it for me, if that answers that question.
It does. It
Yeah.
does. All right. Well, we got to end this show, ladies and gentlemen.
We do.
because
Look,
we are out of beer.
we're out of beer.
and
I got
we're up against the clock. But I'm going to have my guest back at least one more time.
good.
Probably more than one time, but we'll say it one time. All right, so I'm going to end the show the same way I end every show. What are 2 questions you've never been asked in an interview that you wish someone would ask you? And what are the answers to those questions? Maybe I got the first one. How are you doing?
I don't know. This sounds really, I don't know how this sounds, but I'm appreciative anytime anybody wants to talk to me. That's cool. And any chance I get to talk about my music and the whole independent songwriting, I think probably the things I would love to talk more about and what I'm really passionate about is how to, what we were just talking about during a little break there, how to do things in a non-conventional way that where you're not spending the kind of money that you'd normally spend. And I'm not in the Americana world, but the amount of money these kids are spending trying to get noticed in that world is heartbreaking, because nobody's making money on these things anymore. Nobody's selling millions and millions unless you're Taylor Swift. So the return isn't there with the amount of money that I see young artists spending, and it makes me crazy. So I would love to talk more about that. I wish people would ask questions about that, even though I don't think the answers will be popular. But there are ways to do this that makes sense, and to help younger artists start thinking about that is, what's my return? If I'm going to spend $10,000 on a music video, am I ever going to see that money back? No. If I'm going to spend, I see people doing crowdfunding, saying I need $30,000 to record a CD. No, you don't. There's ways. There's things you can do, but to get people thinking about what's my return, and that means getting out of the artistry a bit and thinking more like an entrepreneur, like a businessman. What makes sense? And there's ways to do it. Since 2016, what have I released? 1, 2, 3, 4. That's not even all of them. I've released 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 projects, and I've not lost money on any of them. But I've also not spent ungodly amounts on any of them. But I hope once you take some time and listen to these and look at my videos and stuff, how does it sound? How's the quality? And if I'm so that's what I'd like to talk about, and it's a much longer answer than what we have now, but I think that's my answer to your question, because I'm who I am, and I'm at the stage I am, age-wise and everything. But what I see, having just done Jacqueline's project and seeing, what in the Americana world and in that folk rock world, what they feel they have to do is crazy for young people who aren't, when you're making 0.00013 cents on a stream or something like that, to be spending all of that money for that kind of return makes no sense. So, and going back to what I said in the very beginning, there's lots of people here that'll take your money, and it infuriates me. So I could go another 2.5 hours talking about that, and talking about ways to rethink how you treat this music business that you have for yourself as an independent artist. So there, I'll stop for that.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got at least one more show. And I'm waiting on the bug. Sorry. All right, ladies and gentlemen, for real.
I had a great time. Thank you, Chris. Thanks for having me.
If you enjoyed this episode, leave me a comment below and a thumbs up. If you didn't enjoy the episode, leave me a comment below and tell me why you didn't enjoy it. And if you would like me to ask Mr. Scott a question next time he's on, and he brings 4 or 5 more of those, if you'll leave me a comment below and let me know. And until next time, cheers.
Salute. I'm empty, but cheers.
There you go.
Granny used to honky tonk every Friday night.